Hi folks, Diner Bob here in Challenger Park, and today we'll be building a habitat for the real Psittacosaurus. I'll get into why I say that in a little bit, but first we're going to do a little backfill cleanup for the park. Back in the first video I mentioned that we had an issue with our guests arriving to Tyrannosaur butt, and I have now felt the park has made enough money I can fix that. So now our guests are arriving to Tyrannosaur teeth. The butt is still there, but at least it's no longer the focus of attention. So there it is, just by dropping another Tyrannosaur skeleton and having this one menacing the arriving guests instead of menacing the leaving guests. So we'll head on out the path here, and this is going to take us out and through the ticket booth, and that will be probably for most guests the first time they appreciate where the new habitat is going to be. Obviously very plain right now. Another add-on is these little walled off tables with sunshades on either side of that building. And the current fence there will turn out to be temporary, but I wanted to make sure I had a clean standoff for when I put in the habitat markers. Djadochta is still there and drawing all our guests right now, except for the ones that are hungry, thirsty, or need the bathroom, or want to go shopping. So I've done a lot of terrain painting. I've put in a pond and the habitat markers to estimate how big the exhibit was going to be. Obviously, there's a lot more to be done on this one, and it's time to start doing it. Excuse me. It's one of those days, I'm afraid. Anyway, this is a prefab that I made of a care building for the small animals. And I decided that it got into the raised terrain, so I wanted to have it pretty flat right out the building itself, so that means the habitat had to get a little bit bigger. So set it up with habitat markers first, and then substituted the fence for this lovely aged stone fence. It had a break there right in the middle, and I didn't like the look of that, so I wanted to change it out for a nice smooth wall and that front presentation. And was able to do that at a minor cost to the area of the habitat. But since I just added a bunch with the building, it's actually a net plus. So we've got the fences in place, put in the necessary food. Don't have to put a water dish this time. But so I put some enrichment in. I put the hay beds in the building, and of course the dung beetles. Psittacosaurus species. This animal is known from a remarkably well-preserved fossil. Unfortunately, it does not preserve a lot of the head, and the head is what is commonly used to distinguish between the Psittacosaurus species, most easily anyway. But it's got the quills, it's got skin, it's got melanosomes, it's even got a cloaca, and it gives us a very good idea of what this animal looked like. And the devs followed the scientific reconstruction of that animal in this skin pretty closely, which is cool. You can see him heading right down to the water there. So we got both in, a male and a female, and it's time to start vegetating. I started by putting in some wetlands foliage because I had forgotten that not all the versions of this guy like that, and I wanted a specimen tree, so I put in that big moss hanging guy there right by the water. But by the time I finished getting in the vegetation, it ended up that I had too much, and they didn't like the wetland, so that had to come out, and I had to change some of my plan here. Because this is such a small exhibit, I decided to do things pretty much by hand placing rather than using the brush. And here's the start of that. Oops, they don't like wetlands, so the horsetail, that was papyrus, had to go. Horsetails? No, those were the horsetails. They had to go, and then the bracken took their place as vegetation right at the water. And they got too much, so the big tree has to go because that's the biggest hit. And I decided to put in some temperate trees, which they do get along with. And I really wanted shade up by the food tray. So I kept trying a couple of different large trees, and they always kept putting it over. So that had to be dealt with. And even shrinking down a tree didn't help. So the net result is I ended up going with bamboo and decided to incorporate that into some of the foliage around the exhibit as well, because we've got that building there which I wanted concealed mostly from the public, and the area behind it, which is some of what I'm leaving, because things are going to be added to the game that we're going to need to deal with when staff finally comes in. I'm sure there'll be things like staff rooms and whatnot, and I'll need a place to put them. And this will be a good place for the entrance animals care staff to work out of. So in goes the bamboo to be a screen for that and to make it look good right now, even though I don't need that space yet. So in the future, I expect to be messing around with this. I left that gap there, by the way, for a gate, for a staff path or whatever we end up getting for that. And in goes the sign for the animal, and you got to get some donation bins. Got to keep the park profitable. And I decided I really didn't like the vibe of that fence, so that was something I needed to change. And this change of wall for the building was part of that. I went with bamboo on the sort of public facing of it, and decided, since I'm using the bamboo in the foliage, I got the bamboo in the building, we're going to make the fence bamboo. And there it is. This is the modular fence that I set up for the actual viewing area so the guests can see over it. And on the far ends where the large bamboo stands are, I built a fence out of individual bamboo pieces, put in a set of them, adjusted them in rotation and height, and then used that as a block to supply additional runs of fence to finish it off. It's on both sides, and I think it adds a nice feel to the whole thing. It's looking pretty good, I think. I really need to do some plantings just inside the fence here at that first impression to help conceal the wall. And yeah, other than that, it's looking pretty good. And so we're getting to our animal picture time. It's a bit short one this time. These guys are mostly just walking around, eating, drinking, and laying down. So also, when I was trying to shoot these, they weren't being terribly cooperative. There's one getting up from his nap, and the other one getting a little bit stuck getting over the ledge there. I may need to ultimately put in a little ramp for these guys to make it easier for them. And away he goes. Well, you guys know the drill. Like, subscribe if you haven't, comment if you got something to say or a question to ask. I'll do my best to answer them. And so we're getting near time for this video to end. I hope to see you in another video next time. Having broken into that 2-star category, it's time to start working to get the full 2-star, and that means a 2-star animal. You can guess who till then. Anyway, be kind to each other, take care, and I'll see you soon. Bye now.